Hey, I got a Canadian story to report on, and this one is one that is so cute. You have to check it out. But what the bad part about this is the person that posted this actually lost their job because of this post.
Hey, buddy. Where's mom? Hmm? Where's mom going?
Let me set the scene here. You're up in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. You're a Canadian worker working for an oil company in the company vehicle, and you come across a baby moose calf alongside the highway. And you pull over. You're like, okay, well, mom's got to be around. We don't want to drive too fast because these things are giant creatures as it is. About 3 weeks ago, I saw someone total their vehicle to a moose alongside the highway on my way to work. The roof was ripped right off the roof. So when you come across a baby moose alongside the highway, you generally take notice and you're going to slow down quite a bit. But in this case, he's stopped. He's out in the middle of nowhere. Nothing's around. There's no one around. And he's going back to his lodge where he's staying while working for the company. And this baby moose comes up to him. So you've got to ask, what's going on? What are you doing? Why are you here? And where is your mom?
Okay, well, hang on. Hang on. What am I going to do for you? Where's mom? You can't just be out here all by yourself. Shit.
So on July 4th, Mark Skaggy, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. Well, I've been asked a lot and kind of held off, but I figured I might as well answer everyone at once. A little while ago, here I was on my way back to town while working. I encountered a few day old baby calf moose alone on the highway, and there was a black bear 50 yards away from her just waiting. I made the decision at the time to after she kept trying to climb into the work truck, that I couldn't just leave her there. So I stuck her in the passenger side and drove to town to get some help. I communicated with my supervisor as well as the CO service before luckily finding a spot for her to stay a few days. Thanks again to the person with the big heart. You know who you are. A few days later, Misty, that's what I call her, got a ride to a rehab center a little farther south where they will let her grow up a bit before releasing her back into the wild. All is well, right? Nope. AFD felt differently and figured I was in grievous conflict with their wildlife policies. They had never taken the time to know my background. Anyway, to wrap it up, they did decide, given their options, that letting me go was the best thing or the beat thing. So the lesson I learned was AFD is okay spilling fuel on the ground, but not helping wildlife. This person is an outdoorsman. He knows his route. He lives up near Alaska. He is a Canadian up in that area. And usually when you're up in that area, you know not to touch the animals. You know not to deal with the animals. Let's take a closer look here. So, of course, he posted the video after the fact, and he's got these absolute cute photos of him having this baby calf in his work truck. Now, in a normal circumstance, this is potentially a dangerous situation, but because it's in a work vehicle, his workplace apparently fired him because he took on wildlife. Now, this is something different. This is a situation that's not normal at all, and in general cases, you're not going to do this. But he's looking down the road, and he sees a black bear stalking the moose, and he knows the moose, the baby calf, happens to be all alone, because I believe in one of the stories that he responded saying he saw the mother of this moose dead alongside the highway. So, being reported from the New York Post, Canadian man fired from job after saving baby moose from bear. I couldn't just leave her. And this was a situation, once again, where you're not really knowing what you're getting into. Apparently, he saw a few vehicles pass by this thing, and he was just wanting to scare it off into the woods. But the mom not being around would suggest this was an orphaned calf. And usually, when you come across an orphaned calf, they're not going to survive anyway. So, unless we step in, nothing's going to happen. So, Mark Skage, who worked for AFD Petroleum Inc., was driving back from the job site when he came across the abandoned moose wandering the side of the road in British Columbia. So this was in BC. I thought it was in Alaska at first, but it sounds like he works up in Alaska. As he pulled over and hopped out of his vehicle, the calf attempted to climb into his truck and noticed a bear. He noticed a bear about 50 yards away. That's not very far. Like, that's in closing distance. Made the decision at that time. She kept trying to climb into the workshop that I couldn't just leave her there, so I stuck her in the passenger seat and drove her to get some help. Meanwhile, he actually did contact a conservation officer. He contacted a supervisor while all of this is going on, right? So I just couldn't do it in my heart. People can say all they want. I know as an outdoorsman, we talk about predator control. Black bears are the number one predator to those calves. So I just thought, well, I can't take care of the predator, but I might. I guess I maybe I try and help out this little calf. And that's who he told CBC News, of course. It's against the law to pick up wild animals off the road or from out in nature anywhere. It is illegal to be in the possession of wildlife and transport wildlife, he told the outlet. Now, he was in contact with the conservation officer at the same time. With the calf riding shotgun, he called his supervisor and a local conservation officer about the predicament before he named the moose Misty and found a rehab center to look after her she was ready to be released. A few days later, Misty, that's what he called her, got a ride to the rehab center a little farther south where they will let her grow up a bit before releasing her back to the wild. He thought everything was over, and then he got fired by AFD Petroleum over their wildlife policy. Now, this is a very strange situation. This isn't a normal situation where a baby calf moose is literally walking up to you, trying to climb into your vehicle, trying to escape a predator. This suggests the mother was gone, and this calf wasn't that old. And if you ever watch the show, I watch it off and on again. Northwood Law. It generally takes place down in Maine in the States, and it's one of the number one places to see moose out in the wild. And they just happen to show one episode where the conservation officer or the wildlife officer or the warden in this case has to actually pick up a calf because it was found alongside the road next to her or its dead mother.
Just got a call from Warden Chad Robinson. He's got a orphan moose calf.
When a newborn is left on its own, wardens often work with local wildlife biologists to coordinate the rescue.
Someone had found a dead female moose, and upon looking at it further, they found this newborn.
Usually the wardens handle newborns only when the mother is deceased.
So this was a 1 in a million situation. He's alongside the road. He's got a bear stalking this moose, and the moose is trying to escape death. It's alone. The mother is nowhere to be found. In a lot of cases, you would think maybe the mother's close by, but from the sounds of it and the experience of this person, of this worker out in the middle of nowhere, he's sitting there going, okay, I have to do something. I have to step in. Gets the calf in there. He calls a conservation officer, but of course, then he gets fired. And in a lot of cases, like we see down in Maine, they say you don't touch them, you don't go near them. But this was an extraordinary situation where it's obvious the moose is by itself, it's an orphan, and you don't know where it's going to go. But from AFD Petroleum, the president, Dale Reimer, instead of reporting the situation to a conservation officer and allowing the authorities to handle the rescue and relocation of the moose, the individual made the independent decision to transport an uninjured moose calf, a wild animal, in the front seat of his company vehicle for many hours. This not only put the employees and other road users at risk, but also potentially caused distress and harm to the moose. I'm sorry, that photograph where the moose is sitting there relaxed and sleeping because it's finally being rescued away from a black bear is far from being in distress. This animal, yes, it's being wild, and yes, can be unimaginable on what it could do in the vehicle, but I think the experience speaks to itself. And in this situation, it doesn't look like it was a normal situation. It doesn't look like this was a situation where you could just drive away quite easily, especially when you can see a black bear right there. He also did contact a conservation officer, so he was being instructed in some sort of way by the conservation officer on where to take the moose, considering they set him up to take him to a rehab center. That right there shows that the company is holding their policy above this guy's head and is wrong. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on it? Comment down below. Did he do the right thing? Generally, you do not pick up a wild animal. You don't stop for wild animals. You don't deal with them especially in a company vehicle. But the outdoorsman in this particular individual kind of felt on him, and he was like, I gotta do something here, otherwise this thing is just dead. It looks orphaned. I don't know what's going on. He even contacted an officer, so I don't know. The statement for what he said, there's two parts to every story, so I don't know where this is going to lie. It's really unfortunate that he did lose his job. Hopefully he finds a better job in the future. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow, signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.